Hi, Roger Linn here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the Replay All feature of LinnStrument's Arpeggiator, which I think is a lot of fun to use and a very creative tool for coming up with musical ideas. So what that does is, instead of arpeggiating through the notes as arpeggiating through the notes as an arpeggiator normally does of the held notes of a chord, it actually repeats the entire chord in the rhythm you've selected. And I'll show you what that means. First of all, let's set up the instrument and your sound to be able to take advantage of it. So in LinnStrument, I'm going to enter Global Settings mode. And then I'm going to select, in the three arpeggiator columns, I'm going to select Replay All, 16ths, and +1 octave. And the +1 octave will spit out the note you're playing and the octave above it for a fuller sound. Then I'm going to turn off global settings, and just for fun I'm going to assign the low row to Arpeggiator. And that's up in the low row columns. You press Arpeggi. And then you'll see that the lowest row is yellow, and that's going to actuate and adjust the arpeggiator speed. I'm also going to turn on switch 2, and that will put the arpeggiator on the whole time I'm playing, as opposed to it being arpeggiated only when holding down the low row. So the low row will be only used for changing the rate of the arpeggiation. So also I'm going to select the sound in my downloadable Logic and Mainstage file called Filter Spikes. Now this sound is an MPE sound. Normally it just sounds like this. But with the arpeggiator on, it repeats those very staccato notes. Now in this case, pressure is controlling the velocity of the repeated note. If I press hard, it'll give me high velocity notes repeated, and if I press softly, very low velocity notes being repeated. The y-axis, oh, and by the way, because it is replay all, if I hold a chord, it repeats the entire chord. Now what the y-axis does is this changes the decay time of the sound. And it does that for the chord as well. And then, of course, the x-axis controls polyphonic pitch bend, so what the low row does, and I'm not going to be using it in this demo, but I thought I'd show it to you anyway, it allows you to select the repeat rate relative to the tempo, which is either the internal LinnStrument tempo or the tempo provided by the external sync source. In this case, it's provided by Logic. And that's why this global settings button is blinking. It's blinking quarter notes in the time of the received tempo. So, for example, if I hold a note here, and then I press anywhere in the low row, it doesn't do anything because arpeggiator is already on. But if I move my thumb one space to the right, it moves to the next arpeggiator rate, which is half swing. One more changes to 16th triplets, then 30 seconds, then 30-second triplets. And if I go the other direction, I press it, then we have 8th note triplets, 8th notes, then quarter notes. But at any rate, I won't be using those in this particular demo, but they're fun to use as well. So I'm just going to play a chord, and the fun thing about this is I can just sort of move my fingers between the lights, because the lights are all the good notes, the white keys, and I'm going to start in A minor, play an A minor chord, And then I can just move one finger at a time across one of the rows to the next lit note, which will be a good note, one on the A minor scale, which is the C major scale. Starting at A is an A minor scale. So. So that's a little fun trick, the replay all feature of the Arpeggiator on LinnStrument. Thank you very much for watching. If you own a LinnStrument, thank you very much for owning it. If you're thinking of buying one, thank you for considering it.